So we thought we'd do something a little different.
Yes,
hello.
Why not?
So yeah, this is Chit-Chat Tuesday pre-record, 10 minutes each. So we're at a haunted location. This is Halloween. We've only got a little bit left of Halloween. So I'm asking, I've never asked before, what does Halloween mean to you?
Nothing. In a nutshell. Not a lot.
No.
No, it doesn't really. A lot of noise. A lot of kids asking for money and sweets and stuff. No, it's not been ever really a big deal for me, to be honest. It might have done when I was doing my ghost walks, but since I've been retired, not really. I'm being perfectly honest.
Okay.
No, not really.
That was a good start, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, it's the truth.
So yeah, we'll talk about a little bit some ghost stuff in a bit. But as you mentioned, the ghost walks, some of the really creepy things that people have actually experienced on the walk, because there's a lot of creepy stories that you used to tell. There was a lot of your personal experiences that people have history, but a few people actually experience things on the walk. So if you can talk about some of those cool times.
Yeah, a lot of people obviously are very interested in the history in and around Gloucester and the ghost stories, etc. And obviously they all want to experience things. There has been quite a few people said that they saw a shadow up in the back room of the AG Meeks upstairs, after telling them the story about a little boy that's been seen there. But, you know, I'm not going to say they didn't or they made it up, because I didn't see it. So, you know, I believe them what they saw. But you know what people are like. People put things in people's heads and then they think they see it or hear it. But, you know, it's a story that went around, and I do believe that what they saw was what they saw. Also, in the 10th century medieval alley, people have said they felt that there's cobwebs on their face, and they're rubbing their face and their eyes, which I know the spirit energies. They felt very oppressed walking down there. They certainly didn't like it down Cafe Rennie, in the very basement part of it. It felt very eerie and creepy down there. And some people have actually seen the RAF man that's been told about. He's been seen down there, because the stone cubicles that are down underneath Cafe Rennie was used for a secret underground World War II bunker, housing a lot of important documents. And they're all numbered on the edge of the cubicles, W1 to W20, etc. And so they've experienced that. We've also experienced children. I had a camera down there once, and as we went to go upstairs for a coffee for a break, we left the cameras running. We came back, there wasn't anything we could see, but we did hear the children say, "They've gone." So that was interesting. And we knew there was no children there or anybody else there. We also played, because it was to do with the World War II, we played Vera Lynn music. And when we played it back, we actually heard somebody humming along with us, but it wasn't us. Even yourself, Paul, have experienced things in Dick Whittington, when we tried to get out the door at 3 o'clock in the morning, after hearing a voice in our head, "You're not leaving, are you?" That was weird. That was really weird. But that was a good night. Lots of things have happened. And people like to hear the history as well. They love to hear the history. And I mean, two elderly gentlemen once said to me on the walk, they said, "We've learned more about Gloucester in an hour on your walk than we have done all our lives, and we're in our 60s. I mean, you can't get much more praise from that. And I was near to tears. I was so appreciative of what they said. And, you know, it's all walks of life. Other things have happened in the new inn. People have said they don't like it in the courtyard. When they go in, they feel like they're being watched, or there's children around, which has always been said. They don't like it in the cellars, as we both know, Paul. We've been in the medieval cellars down there. So there are absolutely loads of it. It depends, you know, what people want. I tried to give them what they want, and more importantly, it was all true. Everything that I said was true, or happened to me, or happened to somebody else.
Lovely. So, because we're doing 10 minutes each time, so it's a little bit quicker than sometimes, particularly the longer interview we did together, which is absolutely wonderful. I love doing that one. Tonight, what have you experienced so far tonight in this wonderful place, which is this chit-chat's going on the 1st of November, so you've been seeing the live Halloween.
Yeah, well, obviously it's a secret location, so we're not saying where it is, but in this particular part, we have already encountered new devices that have actually gone off at responses of our questions, which is great. And nobody's been near them. Nobody's been prompted. We have put a trigger object of a cross down, but we haven't checked that yet, whether it's been moved. We've heard noises that's been unexplained. I've also had the headphones on with the experience of the white noise and voices coming through. I couldn't make out a lot of them, but some of them I could. But I don't like to sort of guess what I think I'm hearing. It's only if it was really clear that I would say it. But that's fascinating, and I want to do that again. So it's early days, yeah. I mean, we've only been in the one part. We've got we've got literally all night that we're going to be here. So who knows what else we're going to find.
So during your time of many, many years of investigating, what has been the most important for you on investigation? If you could go with anything at all, what was the most important tool?
Yourself. I'm very old school. We're all very psychic. It's just that a lot of us have lost the ability to do it. But if you try to open up, be honest and sincere, and you know, treat spirits as you would anybody that was alive, and just, we could go all night and talk and nothing happens, and other times things can. But some of the gadgets are okay, but I wouldn't say all of them are. I mean, things have changed dramatically since I started. I mean, it's over 40 years. And I had just an old camcorder, which with the old VHS cassette thing. But now it's all digital and a lot easier to use. Well, it's easier if you're technical, and I'm not. But, you know, I just like to do it the old-fashioned way. I do like some spirit boxes. I do like to do the EVPs. I think that's probably about it with me. I'm not too au fait with most of the other stuff anyway. But I do enjoy more going with other people now than actually doing it myself, because I've done it long enough, and it's nice to take a back seat for once and watch other people do it, younger people, healthier people. And yeah, all right, these gadgets they use, even that's interesting and fascinating to watch. So yeah, I still do it when I can. Not always, but now and again. And yeah, just to add a little bit more to my experience for the paranormal.
So finally, as we're getting close to 10 minutes, but we've still got a little bit of time left, if you could go back and revisit anything that you've experienced in the paranormal field and have that happen to you again, what would that be?
Oh, I don't know I don't know whether I'd actually want it to happen again. I would love to go back to Craignos in Wales, where the sheets were pulled up as if somebody was tucking me in bed. And my friend said that she saw a nurse tucking me into bed. And if anybody knows about the history of Craignos, it was a TB hospital. And the connection there was why it happened to me. It's the only reason I can think of, is my mum had TB in her 20s. And with it being a TB hospital and the nurse, I think probably that might have been the connection. So I wouldn't mind going back there just to see if anything else happened. Lots more places as well, but I can't think off the top of my head right now. Okay. Too many to mention.
Okay. Anywhere you'd like to go and visit and investigate?
Oh, God, I can't think right now. Anything that would... I don't really like theatres and asylums, because they're pretty... Yeah, I don't know. I like castles. And and manor houses. Yeah, I'd like manor houses and stately homes and stuff like that. But I don't really do anything sort of ghoulish and horrible. And I like to think that the afterlife isn't all that. It's not just doom and gloom. It's history. It's going back in time, trying to picture or listen to somebody's story. So I don't know, because there's a lot of places that I haven't been. I think it would have to be if somebody said, right, do you fancy here? And I'd have to say on the spur of the moment, yes or no. So I don't really know. I did once think about Alcatraz, and then I thought, nah, it's too far away. It's too evil place in a way. So, and I don't do evil. So I don't really know, to be honest. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. No, I do like Woodchester Mansion, but I've done that so many times. So yeah, I don't really know, to be honest. Whatever comes up, whatever, whenever, and if I'm able.
Lovely, thank you, Lynn. Big hearts for Nanny Lynn. It's okay. You can interview. You can introduce this one, Lynn.
What?
Let's just say, Chit-Chat Tuesday with John.
Yeah. Hello, this is Chit-Chat Tuesday with Paul Goddard and John Brown, innit?
Brown, yes.
John Brown. Oh, you have to edit that.
I'm sure you can edit that.
Yeah. Right, let me just get us both in a bit better. There we go. That's quite good. Nice one. It's nice to actually interview you this time, John. Yeah, because
I've not been interviewed by you yet, have I?
No.
All this time.
No, absolutely. So I have to sort out do a proper long interview with you both at some point, which would be really lovely to do.
Yeah, it would be great.
So I'm interested because I've always seen your investigations, seen your Chit-Chat Tuesdays. I said it right this time, Lynn. Your Chit-Chat Tuesdays. So I said it twice to make sure that I can actually do it. Tell us how you first got interested in the paranormal.
I've been interested in paranormal since being very young. First ever young, a teenager. Me and my friends were once playing in a field, and there was an old factory, disused, abandoned factory, and we decided we were going to climb the wall over into it and go and have a look. I never actually saw anything, but as two of my friends went into the building, they both went in and then came out running, screaming, saying that they'd seen two dogs' heads just floating in the middle of it. Now, I weren't sure if they were winding me up to start with. So, there were about 4 or 5 of us. We all ran out, disappeared, went over the fence. When we went over the fence at the other side, went into this, where we used to be a squash club, and there were 2 graves for 2 dogs. So that, just started me off. So I started getting interested in the paranormal and obviously spirit energies, and started researching it from there. It wasn't really a big thing back then, though. Do you know what I mean? You didn't get all the media attention, and there weren't all these programs on TV then. So it was just an interest. I never actually went ghost hunting. I went on about 2 ghost hunts before. Me and Lindsay's been together 11, 12 years now. I'd been on about 2 ghost hunts before I met Lindsay. And then when we got together, it's one of them things that you don't really want to, neither of you wants to say, you know what I mean? I believe in ghosts. And it's like the one goes, weirdo, bye. But no, it just came up one and we were talking about it, and we both realised we both got an interest in it. Started watching different programs on it, and I would try to do as much research on different equipment and technical side of things, scientific methods or whatever, more scientific methods, should I say. And we started watching, obviously, Most Haunted, things like that on TV, Ghost Adventures, all those. And then we started, because you only got 1 or 2 episodes a week or whatever, you know what I mean? So it weren't really a lot. So we started watching YouTube, and then we started watching, nobody that I know particularly, were just different random channels. And we started watching these people, and we thought, we could do that, or we could do a better job than that, because we wouldn't be running around screaming and shouting it's a demon or whatever. So that's when we decided to actually start doing his own investigations. We started going on public ghost hunts, You know, the ones where you, I don't know, eerie evenings, people like that you pay £30, you go to your own location, you investigate with them. And then we decided we were going to try and do it on his own, and it just went from there really. But yeah, it's been, I'm not say a big part of my life, but since I was young, I've been interested in it. Yeah, in some way or other.
So first paranormal investigation that you went on with Lindsay, and you were filming for YouTube, for Facebook, and you actually thought to yourself, actually, I think we've got something pretty interesting here. What was that, and where were you?
The first paranormal investigation, we actually found something that Lindsay went actually with me. I was with another YouTuber, I will say, and we were in Sherwood Forest, and I wasn't actually live at that time. He was live, and I got my phone and everything, camera and everything with me. And he decided he wanted to do lone vigils. So when we decided we were going to do these lone vigils, everyone said, John can't just go off into the woods on his own. You know, you're live. John's got... So they said, you're going to have to set up and go live. We'd set the page up, but we'd not done anything on it. So I went live on Facebook, the first time I'd ever been live. And I went off on my own, did my own lone vigil. We met back up. And we were stood near the, I don't know if it's called the Grand Oak, Major Oak, isn't it? The Major Oak in Sherwood Forest. And we heard this really, really loud growl. And that was the first really paranormal, because we couldn't explain it. There was nothing there at that time. There was an animal that we could see, but this was later on, back in the woods, about probably 50, 60 feet away from us. But this growl was bang next to us, and it was really a loud guttural growl. And that's the first. We've still not been able to explain it or find out what it was to this day. So, but that was the first paranormal experience I had on the investigation. I can't remember the first one that happened when Lindsay were there. There's been so many now, though, that they all seem to not roll into one, but you know, it's remembering what order they all came in. Some of the better ones we've caught are more visual. We caught what we believe to be monks walking through a vortex that we do, an experiment called the vortex, Big Chief Abbey. We caught a shadow going behind a tree. I think it was at the old Q pits and coal mine at Ecclesall. And we had a voice. We didn't hear it. I didn't hear it at the time. Lindsay was with me, but where I'd gone in this part of the woods, Lindsay wasn't able to go that far into the wood because obviously with the walking and scooter won't go that far. So I took Lindsay back to the car, then I went back in woods. And I can't remember what it said, but I kept asking for a name and it kept saying Emma. And that's why it became Emma's Wood, that one.
Interesting. So we're here at this secret location today. How have you found it, and anything that's really come through to you that you think, that's interesting, that needs to be looked into?
So far, I mean, this is the second time we've been here, and I love this place. I think it's amazing. The history here and the building itself, it's just got, I don't know, an energy. The building's got its own energy, and I just find this energy very pleasant, a nice place to be. I love the history of the locations. And then actually the most, probably this time, I don't think we got very much last time, but this time it surprised me. Albert has come through so far. I mean, we're only halfway through night. So Albert's come through about 5 or 6 times now. It came through on Alice Box. I think 2 or 3 people have said it, that it's come over when we've been doing the experiment with the headphones on and the spirit box. I just find that very interesting that Albert keeps coming through. I don't know if Nanny Lynn knows anything about an Albert that's linked to this place, or whether we could find out about an Albert that's linked to it. I don't know, but I think that needs some more investigation to find out who he is.
An Albert here, Lynn?
Yeah, I'll have to look into it. I have to look into it further. Yeah, I can't recall right now, but I'm sure I can find out.
Sorry, Woody, I disappeared for a moment. So, all the places you've been to, St. Paranormal experience, you heard the growl to begin with, but yeah, anything you've been to, experience maybe in getting through one of the apps, that you think, I'd love to re-experience that because that was so amazing, what would that be?
So many. So many so interesting things that always happen. I mean, we never get, it's never like constant all night. We only get maybe one or two little things. But each one's like unique and really in its own way. I find, I'm trying to think what happened now. And we went to a place in Ashbourne. I'm trying to think what happened. It were a voice that came through. I thought I could hear singing then, but I
think it's somebody out there, but I could hear singing.
It sounded more like nuns singing, didn't it, rather than the band practicing. It sounded like a choir singing. So Ashbourne Town Hall. We had a few things happen there. It was something that came through Spirit Box, and pardon me, it came through the Alice Box and the Spirit Box at about the same time, I think. And I'd love to be able to recreate something like that.
Sounds really good. So we almost hit the 10-minute mark. Anywhere you haven't investigated, you think, I'd love to get in there?
A lot of places. There's so many places I'd love to investigate. Some of them we can't get access to because we're not allowed. Other places, at the minute, I mean, I'd love to go back to Gloucester Prison, but we've inquired, haven't we, Nanny Lynn, and yeah, they're just charging too much. One place I'd like to go, maybe we could get a group together, would be Woodchester Mansion. That's one place I would like to visit. Probably East Drive. Not that I'm a big fan of East Drive as such, but it's one place when you mention the paranormal that everybody knows about. So I would like to do East Drive. I'd like to do the Skirrid Inn, and what's the other pub called? There's another pub. There's the Skirrid Inn and the
Jamaica
Inn. That's it. Those two I'd like to visit. I'd like to do Shepton Mallet Prison. Yeah. So there's loads of places I'd love to go. But one place, not a place, but one venue, not particularly. I'd love to do a castle, a proper old castle somewhere. You know, I mean, we've got Bolsover Castle near us, but you can't. Obviously, it's English heritage. You're not allowed access to it. And
Bravel's Castle is quite haunted, apparently.
yeah, that's worth doing. St Bravel's Castle.
Are you allowed access into that?
Yeah, I've done that. Yeah. It's a youth hostel.
Oh yes, that's one in Forest of Dean, isn't it? Yeah. That's one I'd like to do. Yeah, as well. I think Lindsay's actually been there before we met. She went there. I'm sure it must be that one.
Probably was there during it, you know, if it's the same group I'm thinking of. Amazing. Anything else you want to add?
No, not really. Is there anything else you want to ask? I mean, I'm fine.
No, I hit the 10-minute mark, so lots of hearts for John, I think, yeah.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for watching, and thank you all for your support.
Amazing. So we have Lynn here, Nanny Lynn, getting the biscuits all sorted. So you said that it was, let me get a bit more centralised. That'll do. So yeah, tell me what's been happening upstairs.
Wow, me and Claire's just had one of the most, I would say for us, one of the most active experiments going off. There was two boys that come to talking to us, and when I said talking, the blue light was flashing on the north and south one, but the answers were coming through on Alice Box. I've got goosebumps just like saying we are going to clip that bit and put that on separately as well. But yeah, the responses we got, it asked for were a penny farthing? No, half a penny. So Claire put 2 pennies or some money on table, and we said, Claire's put you some money on table. But then then it said, we are happy here. But you were getting goosebumps and everything from it. I asked a question, Claire asked questions, and I said, was you allowed out into the garden? And it didn't flash up or anything. And then I said, did you have to work for your food as well as working in class? And it flashed, yeah. And it was just unbelievable 10-minute flash session. and it's just like made my night. It really has. It's been absolutely amazing, that one. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So what I was involved in, the earlier part of the night,
Yes.
what do you think of that so far?
I think that was a really good experiment. I heard, same as you, for the music, like a choir. It kept coming in and coming out. But I also felt like my chair had been pushed slightly, that the chair had been pushed, and then I could feel the floor vibrating. It's really hard to explain it, but it was like the floor was moving, but not moving, if that makes sense. But I think that is a great experiment, because at certain points, when John was sat in the chair, John said priest, something priest, and then the Alice box said priest. So they're relevant to what John was hearing and what come on box. When you were sat in chair, that was phenomenal. But I feel, Claire said it, and it was like, because you'd gone to the altar and you were stood and sort of like meditating at that time, you was the one that got more than anybody coming through. And I don't know whether it was your mindset that was, you'd like calmed your mind down before you'd sat in chair. But what a great experiment that were. I mean, that's one we're definitely going to do on future investigations, I think, because, yeah, some of the things were really clear. Others you couldn't really hear clear. But no, it's been fantastic, yeah.
So we just explain the experiment. If people haven't seen
Yes.
tonight, yesterday, by the time this goes out, what the experiment is.
So the experiment was the spirit box, and we've got earphones plugged into the spirit box. So whoever was sat in the chair had them on, and then we made silly comments to try and see if they could hear us by saying a daft thing, and obviously you would have laughed if you could have heard it. So we knew then that nobody can hear. I mean, you know yourself, once you've got them on, it's that spirit box in your ears. You can't hear anything. So we put the headphones in. So John, Claire, Nanny Lynn and Paul was sat asking questions, and the person in the chair had the earphones on and was relaying what they were getting, what they could hear, and we were seeing whether we could match them up. There were a gentleman, I can't remember the gentleman's name, that come through. Albert sent to come through. I got Martha through. And yeah, it's a really, really interesting. I mean, I'm loving these new experiments. I just think that they're absolutely amazing, you know. Yeah, I think we've done really well for first part at night, and we've got more to go yet. So it's going to get even better. I think we are going to get more activity in certain places than others, but I do think we are going to get quite a bit of activity. Yeah, I do. I think it's going to be a good night. Yeah.
So where you've gone around in this secret location at the moment, just from what you sense, what do you feel is the most active areas?
At the minute, the most active area for me has got to be, at the minute, the second floor. It's got to be the second floor in the box room, and on the it's where the nuns would have slept. In these rooms upstairs, there's like enough room for maybe a bed or a mattress on the floor, and then there's like little fires, and there's so many different rooms like that. So they were the nuns' quarters, or what we would say would have been the nuns' quarters. I think that floor's got a lot of activity. At the moment. We've not gone up to the top, so that's yet to come. But I think definitely we need to leave it. If that is the one that's most active, I think that's the room when we do go to sleep to leave a locked off camera, and just have it going and see what comes through when we're not in the room. So I think that's going to be an interesting one for us.
I hope you won't mind me drinking this. It's coffee time, and it was going cold.
No, that's fine. You drink away.
So tell me about where your first introduction to the paranormal, when you first got interested in the paranormal.
First got interested, I lost my dad when I was 8, but the week before he died, I had a dream. and I dreamt that my dad died in the dream, but not as he died. It's a long story, so I'll not go into it. And then my dad passed away. So then from that age, it was sort of like a taboo. You couldn't speak of him because it was too upsetting for everybody else. So it was just hushed up. But then as you get older, in like, I'd say when we were about 10, 11, 12, we started messing with Ouija boards. Because we'd heard you can bring, and we did do Ouija boards. We did get some not nice stuff coming through. It did say that one of the boys who were with us, he weren't actually using the board, but it said he were going to break his leg. And about 2 weeks later, he got hit by a bus on Tytheborn at Woodhouse. He walked out of his house and were crossing road, and bus just seemed to come from nowhere and actually broke his leg. Whether it's coincidence, whether it's, for people out there that do have these different beliefs. So yeah, it started from there. Then after that happened, it was like, no, we're not doing this anymore. Then I dabbled on Ouija board again when I was about 14, 15 with more experienced people, but they were doing more negative. So I said, no, that's enough. And then I got into spiritualist churches. And just from there, the interest, it's just, I don't know whether it's because we struggle to prove it and have people believe it, but it's real, it's, for me, I know that's my belief in it, but for the things that we've caught on camera and the different experiences we've had, I mean, we've been doing paranormal for a long time, but we only started going on to YouTube and Facebook about 2-3 years ago, I think it was. And the evidence that we've caught, it seems a lot, but it's not over the time, if you know what I mean, because we've gone out and there's nothing happens at all, and it's just a really good, enjoyable night because it's what we're into. So yeah, that's where it all sort of like started from me, and it just got my interest then in, does my dad still see me? Does he still? And he does, and I think having that, you just want that more. You want that more coming in. You want to. It's just a suction, I think, that if it gets you, then it's got you. Do you know what I mean? And it's just such an experience, yeah.
So I ever think, and I've asked over this, but I think it's a great question to ask. Well, I do anyway.
Yeah.
People might think it might be. It's a terrible question to ask.
Never.
But if you could go and re-experience any activity that you've been part of, what would that be?
I think the two personally for me would. There's three. There's the monks that we caught, the shadows of the monk at Beechief Abbey, I think it was. We caught the shadows of the monks. The other one would have been when Claire got a feeling, and then I got a feeling, and we moved the camera. I forgot where we was. We're not an engine house, and we got the shadow figure running. The mill. When we got the shadow figure running across, and you actually see it form, and you see the movements of the arms and the legs. And then the other one, that my favourite's got to be what me and Claire's just experienced upstairs. That has got to be for me. Out of it all, because of the questions, the answers coming back, everything else. I think for me that's got to be my top three, but my top one's got to be what I've just experienced. I've never experienced anything like that on any investigation so far personally, so yeah.
So you can't wait to get up there and sit.
I just can't wait to.
And I've kept you down here.
I know. But yeah, I can't wait to see what else. I think, like I say, I mean, it were really quiet the first time we come, and it was as though they were just stood back and wouldn't come forward. And I think whether they know that we're here with the intentions we are, and it's good intentions. Yeah, it's like that built-in trust. So it's definitely got to be one of the places that I think we will be visiting more and more over time, and keep coming back every couple of months as long as we can, and keep coming back and just seeing if we can get a stronger bond, like a stronger link in to the energies. But yeah, it's been fantastic.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lots of hearts for Lindsay.
Thank you very much.
So Claire, tell me about what happened upstairs just a moment ago.
It was, as Lindsay said, it was absolutely amazing. So Lindsay was asking questions and she was getting lots of responses to the new toy, as I call it, that they've got. It just kept flashing blue, answering the questions. So Lindsay would ask a question, it would flash blue if it was correct, or if the answer was yes. So I sat back for a while because I didn't want to sort of jeopardise anything, because she seemed to have like a good connection. And then someone in chat said, there's two boys, ask if they're twins, and it was like yes. And then as answers were like, as we were asking questions, the same responses were coming through on the Alice box instantaneously like that. It weren't like waiting 5 minutes and then coming through, and I was like, wow. Then the blue light started flashing like crazy, like something was trying to drain the battery. But I got an uneasy feeling. So I passed that feeling on to Lindsay, and I got up and turned the box off and on. Of course, there was only two ladies up there as well, so it was a bit... but then someone picked up in chat that a lady was actually in the doorway, and we worked out that it was someone that was actually looking after the children, and they'd been fighting over the box, which made sense because you need to watch the footage back. The way it goes off is crazy. I've never seen any equipment go off like that. So I am quite excited to get back up there and see what's happening, because we left the camera running while we left the room for 5 minutes before John went up. So I'm interested to see what happened there as well while the room was empty. But I've never seen responses come through like that ever. It was just like, but like I said, I did get that uneasy feeling at one point, and I've learnt to trust my feelings. So, but whether it was the energy I was picking up from them fighting over this toy that I suppose they saw it as, but wow, I've never seen anything like it.
So how do you compare this time from the last time we were here?
The last time we was here, I mean, it's a fantastic building, but it was quite quiet. I've found that tonight we've had a lot more interaction, a lot more responses. I noted the way that you was feeling as well when we were in the church. It's been a lot more active. It's like Lindsay said, I think the more that you go to a place over and over, you sort of get a bond, you get that trust. But yeah, it's been brilliant so far. It really has.
So tell me about your journey into the paranormal.
Wow, right, where to begin? Right, so the house that I grew up in, the family home, lived there, until I moved out and got married. And Mum and Dad only left there about 7 years ago. We had a resident ghost, so things would happen around the house. We'd like get noises. My mum once went upstairs. She heard a coin. You know when you spin a coin and it starts. It was doing that on the window ledge when she walked into the bedroom, to the little bedroom. I once opened the kitchen door and it hit somebody, so I peered round the door and said sorry. There was no one there. Hoover turned itself on and off. Everybody had seen and had experiences apart from my dad, who was a non-believer, until he did. He thought he saw my mum walking across the landing, and he spoke to her. She didn't answer, so he followed her into the room, and she wasn't there. She was downstairs, and the gentleman that's now moved into that house has asked my mum and dad's old next door neighbour, did they say that this house was haunted? And he was like, no, it is. But it's a nice presence. It just likes to let you know that it's there. So that was my first sort of like introduction to paranormal. When I was 6, my granddad passed away. It was my mum, my nan and my cousin. They all had the similar dream on the night that he passed. So they all met up with him in the Black Bull pub at Ecclesfield, where he and my nan had just started going out drinking, and he told them all that he was passing away, he was passing over, but he was okay. The next morning, my mum rang my cousin and said, I've had the strangest dream. She says, I have. And they were like shocked. But my cousin said, yeah, but at the end of mine, he turned around and said, and don't tell your nan, because I'm going to go tell her next. So that got me thinking. But then when I moved out of my home as well, I had things happen there. My son, he was tiny, newborn, in a crib. The crib was swinging like crazy, and the photograph off the top of the telly went flying. I had activity in the property after that, and the one after that, and then it stopped when I moved.
Interesting. So tell me about when your first like proper sort of paranormal investigation, when you actually kind of called yourself a paranormal investigator.
So, like most people, I love watching paranormal things on television. Obviously, a lot of them aren't true, or you think, is that true, or are they faking it? So I wanted to find out myself. And I started watching Lindsay and John's channel, ETA. And I actually messaged Lindsay and I said, I'd like to go to Mosborough Hall. Would you investigate it? I'll pay for you. She's like, well, why don't you come with us? I was like, I daren't. Because the stories that I haven't told you, about the paranormal experience I've had in a couple of other properties weren't nice. So I was scared. I said, look, I'll pay for you, you go. She went, no, you come. So I took my friend with me and we went, and I really enjoyed it. So I carried on going, and I'm just finding it amazing. Yeah, we're never going to get all the answers we want to know. We know that, but the more we find out and the more evidence we get, it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Amazing. I best ask, because I've asked every single person so far. So anything you could re-experience the paranormal, from anything from when you were little to 30 minutes ago, what would that be? Right.
So Mosborough Hall we've done twice. There was a time when we went to Mosborough Hall and I connected with a lady there, and I had a really, really deep connection. I felt really emotional and proper connected. So that for me was really personal, and I loved that investigation. The second one would be, as Lindsay said, where we saw the monks. We didn't actually physically see the monks. Someone spotted it on the live. So when we rewatched it, we saw those. But what I did find fascinating was, with my eyes, I actually saw sort of like, it was like steam rising from the ground before these monks appeared, but I actually saw that with my eyes, which was like, where is this coming from? It was like something out of a horror movie, where it just starts rising. So that was another experience. And I would like to go back to my family home to try and reconnect. And now I know what I know and how to communicate properly, and to not be scared, because obviously it wasn't there to harm. So I'd like to go back and reconnect and see if I can find out who that was.
Yeah, it'd be really nice to do that. Yeah. So anyway, you'd love to investigate that you haven't been to so far?
Oh, there's loads of places that I'd like to investigate. The thing with me is I don't like to investigate places that have sort of like been on hundreds of paranormal shows or really famous. So I would really, really like to investigate an old prison, because I've never done one. I mean, Alcatraz would be brilliant, obviously, but I'm not going to get there. But I'd like to do somewhere that's a bit like here, that nobody knows about, that's not being overdone, where you get high expectations and nothing. There is somewhere close to my home that I'm wanting to do, so I'm going to try and find out if I can get in there, so watch this space.
Any equipment you really like to take on investigations, or you enjoy using?
Yeah, I love EVPs, but we're not very good with getting responses. But when we do, we know they're real, because obviously we've done them right. There's no, we're here to do a proper investigation. There's no point investigating to fake it, because you're finding nothing out. So I really like it when we get an EVP. Yeah,
no, I like EVPs as well. Any EVPs that you have got, because you said you haven't got so many of them, but you think,
many.
That was actually really cool.
Yeah, I can't remember which one it was though, because it was Johnny was out on his own. and without going back now, I can't remember what it was, but it was very clear. I'll try and find it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good. So yeah, any piece of equipment you'd love to buy I haven't got yet?
Yeah, there's loads of equipment. There's one like John's just got actually that's like a pyramid, a proper pyramid that you can do yes and no answers with that I'd like. And I've seen loads online, but again, I'm dubious what works and what doesn't. And some are that expensive. It's like, do I buy it or do I not? You see other teams, but you don't know if they're honest. So yeah. I'd love to be able to make my own, but I can't.
Well, a bit more experimentation, you might be able to.
I can't make things, I break things.
Fantastic. Well, lots of nice hearts for Claire, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.